The Bears must draft an edge rusher in this year's draft. I think some people are forgetting that this is the year of the edge rusher. This year's draft is absolutely loaded with defensive ends and guys who can get after the quarterback. The Super Bowl just showcased what an elite pass rush can do in the NFL, and Ryan Poles recently re-emphasized it himself when speaking to the media, saying you can never have enough pass rushers in this league. To me, Ryan Poles has given himself enough flexibility where he can do whatever he wants in round one of this draft, and I don't think anyone should criticize it. I believe our staff of Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, and Dennis Allen are going to work collaboratively to find the biggest impact player for this roster in round one. But heading into day two, Ryan Poles needs to add at least one pass rusher. Now, if he wants to take that guy at pick 10, that's perfectly fine too. But at some point in the first 2 days of this draft, I believe we need to add an edge rusher. This is the year of the defensive end. And if we head into training camp with Austin Booker as our DE3, I'm going to be majorly disappointed. Nothing against Booker as a player, but come on, this year's draft class simply features too many talented pass rushers to ignore the position. No matter what kind of edge rusher Dennis Allen prefers, there is sure to be one we can land in this draft. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the top edge rushers in this year's class. It's absolutely loaded on the defensive line, but not all of these edge rushers are the same. Some are bigger, edge setting run defenders, and other guys can simply get after the quarterback. I put together a list of the top 15 or so pass rushers in this year's draft class. On this graphic are included sacks, pressures, run grades, pass rush grades, and pass rush win rate all together in one convenient chart. And Ryan Poles will have 4 chances to land one of the pass rushers on this list, and there are more not even listed here that I couldn't fit on the graphic. Guys like Josiah Stewart, David Walker, Olu Oladejo, Savion Jones, and more. This year's class is loaded. I'll stop saying that, but I just wanted to get the point across. And with 4 picks in the top 72, and the Bears roster not having any glaring holes, I think it is a must that we draft at least one of these pass rushers. Out of these guys listed, as many as 8 could actually go in the first round, but more likely somewhere between 5 or 6, leaving plenty of stud options on the board for the Bears early in round 2. I'm working on ranking them all for the Chicago Bears specifically, but today I wanted to take a look at things analytically and compare these top pass rush prospects. Out of the top 50, there are simply a ton of pass rushers. So this gives us a better look at where some of these guys stand out. Some of these guys have incredible pass rush win rates, and then there are some other guys with incredible grades as run defenders. You also get to see the guys who stand out with pressures, and the guy like Shamar Stewart, the only one on the entire list who didn't have double-digit sacks. That clearly stands out on a list like this. But James Pierce Jr. up near the top, these aren't really my rankings. I kind of just did them in order, but these are the guys viewed as the top pass rushers in this class. You see near the top a guy like Mykel Williams. He stands out against the run, but his pass rush numbers don't stand up to the rest of the guys. I might actually have to adjust and move him down my board slightly because of this. But same with Shamar Stewart. Yes, he had some pressures, and yes, he played really good against the run, but if you're going to keep him as an edge rusher, he simply doesn't have the production to match a top 10 pick right now. I think Nick Scourton disappointed slightly, but he's another player I really like. I got to talk about Jack Sawyer here. This is a guy who's going to be available in round 2 most likely. He grades out really well against the run and the pass, and he has a pretty nice pass rush win rate, but not as much as the guy listed after him, my guy from Ole Miss, Princely Umanmielen, an awesome 91.5 pass rush grade and a 22.8% pass rush win rate, the highest out of anyone in this year's class. Princely remains one of my favorite players, especially when looking at guys we could target on day 2. I would love to come away with him as a pass rusher. I would love it if Princely ended up in Chicago, but the next guy listed isn't bad either, especially if you're looking for a guy who can come in and get after the quarterback. Braden Swinson out of LSU. He has one of the worst run grades listed here, but he also had a plus 22% pass rush win rate and is another guy who can get after quarterbacks. The analytics were not so kind to Landon Jackson, a guy who's been rising up draft boards and had a good Senior Bowl. He graded out really well against the run, but his pass rush win rate is the worst on the list. So you kind of have to factor that in. If you want a guy that gets after quarterbacks, Landon Jackson might not be your first choice. Same with JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State. Another guy who's a really good run defender, and he's had some success as a pass rusher, but overall, the analytics are not favorable to him. They prefer a guy like Ashton Gillette instead, another guy with a plus 20% pass rush win rate. You have to keep an eye on a guy like this. If Ashton Gillette is available on day two, especially if he falls to round three, a guy with nearly 150 pressures, this is a guy you'd have to keep an eye on. But overall, this list is kind of just meant to give you guys an idea of the production of these pass rushers. Some of them stand out in certain areas, and you can also see some key weaknesses in areas of other players' game as well. What exactly is Dennis Allen looking for? I think the bottom line, no matter what kind of pass rusher he's looking for, he's going to have at least a handful of options of guys he really likes. But that's really what it comes down to. Over the last few years, we've kind of figured out what Ryan Poles likes, but it's kind of harder to nail down what exactly Dennis Allen looks for in his defensive end. A lot of people seem to say he only prefers the bigger defensive ends, the last two he's drafted, like Marcus Davenport and Peyton Turner, but they forget he was also part of the team that drafted Khalil Mack and Von Miller, two guys who were undersized pass rushers, and those guys have actually went on to have a lot more success in the NFL. So what does Dennis Allen prefer right now? And what fits well with the defensive line we currently have on this roster? Those are the questions we should be looking for. And some of the guys that stand out to me, obviously Abdul Carter fits anyone. I think James Pierce Jr. fits. Mike Green is a fit. Donovan Izaraku is a fit. Nick Scourton's also a fit. I think Jack Sawyer fits, but not as well as some of the other guys. Princely, Swinson, Jordan Birch is decent, and then Ashton Gillette are all really good fits. Landon Jackson is one. I still think he's a good fit, but I believe we might be looking for a better pass rusher. Let me know which guys on this list you would prefer become a Chicago Bear. I have deeper dives on some of these players coming up soon, as well as some all 22 breakdowns as well. But I wanted to step back and take a look at things analytically. I appreciate everyone who watches. Please remember to hit that like button for me. Stay tuned. And until next time, bear down.